Renegades taking on Enemy, and the first map will be Train.
Yeah, very intriguing map. I mean, this is a map the Alpers, Yam and Kusta are going to have big time games. Especially thinking, Yam as an Alper likes to be aggressive in choke points, likes to take those good spawns, the timing based spawns, and try and find an early kill. So the defense for Enemy is going to have to be really strong in the sense they're going to have some nades. But it looks like they're going to be starting on the Terra side, which is a little bit of a blow here on Train. I believe this is one of the maps they just lost the other night, I believe, isn't it?
Yep.
So that doesn't bode well.
Yeah, doesn't bode very well at all. But Renegades at the same time, too, now just bringing in Estilo. Not exactly sure how recently he actually came over to North America, but maybe not enough time to get him sort of into the mix with the team yet. That could also be another factor working against the Renegades, which could allow Enemy to bounce back. Another thing that I found sort of interesting, and now again, I'm not a professional in regards to analyzing the Australian scene whatsoever, so I could be completely wrong when it comes to analyzing this regard, but just off of like a random selection of matches that I looked at before he went live tonight, it didn't really look like Ustilo was like this player that was absolutely like outshining everyone else on his previous team. So it's interesting to see why they've chosen to pick him up. For me, that's going to be sort of a thing where I want to wait and see how he gels into this roster, but it didn't seem like he was just like this completely outstanding player that they wanted to snap him away immediately to bring him over here to America.
I mean, I don't mind that. I like that because they have JKS, they have Azure, and they have Yam, and all three. I mean, two of them currently, Azure and JKS, have been the carries for Renegades, and then Yam was the carry for Immunity, this high impact opper who's been struggling to find his place in this team. So, grabbing someone who's not going to be, an attempted carry type player, I think that's gonna help shore up some of these roles very well for them moving forward, and interested to see how Sponge is going to start working him into the system.
And it looks like we are experiencing a couple problems with the server, guys. So as soon as we get that sorted out, we will be going live. But again, just to talk about things that will be coming up, we've already gone over the schedule for this evening, but it'll be sticking to, I believe, that Tuesday to Thursday rotation that we were working off of the last season as well. So you're going to be having matches not only this evening, but tomorrow, Thursday night as well. Bringing it to you for the next, I think, 9 or 10 weeks, a little bit of a break somewhere in there.
Jeez.
Of course, leading up to the Great LAN Finals, I think sometime in May. Trying to remember the schedule off the top of my head as I pull it up in my browser.
Great LAN Finals. I know there's going to be some weekends mixed in there as well.
Yep. Bringing that back from the couple of seasons too to sort of catch up when we have to go on break for the major and whatnot as we usually do. So that'll obviously have a little bit of a break there, but beyond that, should be pretty much par of the course on that Tuesday to Thursday rotation, as you guys are used to from the previous season now.
Yeah, it's going to be a party. It's going to be a party, Blue. You excited?
Indeed. I'm excited. I think one of the cool things that everybody's going to look forward to see as well, that'll start tomorrow night, we'll be seeing how Liquid now performs. That'll be their first official match, bringing Simple into the roster, so that's something to look forward to. That happens tonight. Can't exactly remember who they are playing, but they've got a big one on Thursday too, where they're going to be playing against Luminosity, and that'll be our last match on Thursday, so you're definitely going to want to tune in for that one.
Simple and his Razor Mice. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The issue, guys, is that there are two coaches, and one of them is missing he's not in the coaching slot at the moment, so we're waiting for that to get straightened out. Can't imagine it would take too much longer. So we're just going to chill, as both these teams do have analysts and coaches who like to spectate inside the game.
Indeed.
Speaking of which, Ryu, the coach of Enemy, it's actually a pretty impressive guy in terms of what he does for the Enemy team. A little bit of a managerial role on top of his coaching, but he's not so much strikes me as a guy who comes in and invents new tactics for him or helps him strategically with anything crazy. But he's just very level-headed, keeps them, with their minds focused on the right things, talking to him at the minor. Smart guy. So he's got his team playing very, very well. They trust him a lot. So definitely valuable input from him onto how this team performs.
And that's actually good to see from him too, because you go back just a couple of months right before this team entered into Pro League when they were still a Premier level team. He was actually a full-time member of this roster, and he himself decided to step down as he didn't feel he was performing up to par just as a pure fragger, but he still wanted to be there to support the team strategically, and that's exactly what he's done now, jumping into this coaching role. I think it took a little bit of time for him to sort of gel in and get used to that, and for the rest of the team to get used to that sort of thing too, but it's managing to work out great as they're climbing pretty heavily here in the North American ranks now.
Well, hopefully.
Big based on a very small recent set of performances, I guess you could say that.
I'm just excited
NA.
to get this started. What's the next map? It's Train, and then what was the other? It was Overpass.
Mirage, I think we go
Mirage?
to next. Yeah.
So how these work, guys, is both teams kind of blind ban 2 maps each, and then the remaining maps in the pool get randomized. So, I mean, essentially, if there are 4 different maps banned, then three maps get randomized. But if both teams choose to ban the same map, then 4 maps are in the random pool. So pretty interesting way of doing things, with neither team knowing what the other one is banning, which is pretty cool. Because it still gives you some bans, but still requires that you have a variety in the map pool.
All right. Well, it does look like we're finally going live, guys. So welcome back to the match, hopefully without any further delays in getting things started. For those of you that are just joining us once again, this is the first match of Season 3 of the ESL Pro League. EnemyGG taking on Renegades here on Train. And we get it started off with a pistol round, Renegades on the T side, and Relics going to be very aggressive. Going out Ivy, spots 3 players there, manages to pick up the headshot onto Hazard to take him down. Yam responding back though with his own shot, and then Sponge picking up a second for the Renegades as he shuts down Relics.
Oh, nice shot from Mainline. That's a lot of aggression, but he's stuck. They have him boxed in. He's got a teammate coming over to help out. That flashbang needs to get out in time. Mainline's going to use it to fall back, but Lucky's taking so much damage. Nice trade, though. So still a lot of action towards Ivy, and it just stabilizes now. It's down to a 2-on-2, and it's pretty even across the board.
This is going to be trying to hold from inside of ladder room, and this looks like it could work out perfectly with both of the members of Renegades trying to come outside of the T connector. They don't spot him initially, he could do some damage. He's even got the silencer off too, so let's see. Trying to connect the headshot, but not going to be able to find it. Now JKS and Ustilo try to push forward, but Kusta connecting the headshot. The bomb goes down, and now JKS, he's got a battle with Kusta to get it back. Jumps back over, retrieves it. He's down to 50 seconds now, and now he's down to a 2 versus 1. And they know exactly where he's playing from too, so he's going to have to try to find a way outside of this box. And Kusta's going to close it even more as he goes up on top of ladder room. They're just going to wait for him in the white halls.
Yeah, this is a good play to make sure you have the information of where he's going to go. And he is going to come up mid. Mainline spotted him. JKS knows that quickly Kusta could be down the ladder, but he's got to try and get this bomb planted. 25 seconds to work with, so still a little bit of time. There's Kusta peeking from ladder room, and JKS, the timing's not with him. He can't make it behind cover in time. That's going to be the first pistol round to Enemy based off, I mean, a little bit sketchy. It looked like they were going to get caught out with too much aggression over towards Ivy, but some really, really nice rotations help keep things alive in that pistol round. So 1-0 for Enemy.
Kusta with the good play, too, to just try and box in the last remaining member of Renegades, that being JKS, not allowing him to go anywhere. And they'll be able to stop them from moving out any further. So Enemy take the lead at the beginning of our first map here. And now they're immediately going to start things off, but Yam responds back. He's able to find a Deagle headshot to immediately pick up the pace now from Renegades. Shuts down Uber, way back over there towards Ivy, I believe. And already eliminating him. Now the rest of Renegades going for a very quick inside take. This brings Relics into the pressure situation, but Ustilo shuts him down before he can take out even a single member of the terrorist side. Now they're in the site, getting a quick amount of control. Ustilo pushing forward. He is shut out there by mainline, so they get a little bit of a response, but still, this is not looking good. Azur's up there. He's managed to pick up another SMG, and he's holding back the CTs, but he overexposes himself. So Lucky's going to be able to take him down. And now Enemy moving as a 3-man group, trying to go for this retake, but also being cautious of Yam, who's currently moving in on the flank here, too.
Yeah, but Yam's eventually going to win that out. And one more for Sponge, and now Mainline cannot find the remaining 2 members. So a nice round from Renegades with that opening Deagle kill from Yam. Beautifully done. Pulls a little bit of the rotation away at the inner bomb site. Enemy, they drop that second round, and that's heartbreaking on the CT side of Train. That's a huge win for Renegades, but Enemy's not going to give it up. They're going to buy right back into this. Looking like everyone except for Kusta, the Opera, is going to invest here into this third round.
So he's going to place himself, it looks like, again, over towards Ivy. Should be a good position from him when you consider that the rest of Renegades are actually moving their players through the white halls once again. So where they're going, it looks like they're going to be dropping down through ladder room, so it'll be coming out through T-Con, and already Kusta goes down. And that's very unfortunate as you take a look at the position of the rest of Enemy's players. They've tried to go for an all-in on the inner yard, and it has not worked out at all. So now they have to try and rotate in. You can see the 2 players sitting above the ladder room there. They're going to try to drop against Azur, but he's waiting for this one, so it would not be the wisest of moves to try and go in there 1 versus 1. You've also got Sponge and T connector, so for Enemy, this is going to be a very rough retake to say the least. And it looks good for Renegades now to take a good lead at 2-1.
Yeah, this is a good call from Enemy as well. Not even going for it. They have 4 members with armor and upgraded pistols. You're in a losing situation no matter where you go here, and actually even Uber is going to get caught out from behind, it looks like. Maybe not. I think he hears those footsteps, though. But just save these guns for the next round. There's a nice kill from Uber. He gets one on the exit. They're going to keep their armor, their upgraded pistols, and actually, if Renegades continues to chase this, they could just lose a lot more guns. But both teams content with what they've got so far. 2-1 now for Renegades.
Just a bit of a standoff there at the end of the round. No one really hunting down either party. So Renegades will keep most of their guns in play. Same thing for Enemy, though. And we even see another upgrade there on Uber, as he was able to scavenge that P90, I think, of someone else from Renegades in the previous rounds. So now we got a little bit more firepower, but ultimately, still just on that upgraded pistol with armor sitting behind it. Not a lot of utility being brought into this round yet either, so it should be a pretty simple task for Renegades to, at the very least, find their way inside of the site.
Yeah, same sort of eco round, though. Very fast-paced outside for Renegades, knowing they have a huge advantage with the SMGs, with the AK-47s at range. These pistols haven't been able to do anything these past 2 rounds. So the investment not paying off whatsoever. In these 2 rounds so far, they only have 1 kill. And just for that's just not nearly enough. And it looks like that might be all they're going to get. Azur and JKS are both brought down very low, but it's just Uber. He's got a P90, but he has the CZ out right now. And it looks like he is going to find one. Sponge goes towards Connector. That's actually a rifle down if there's some way that Uber can save that, but I do not believe Renegades is going to let that happen. They've got to salvage that AK, and they're going to do it. So Uber just falls way back into towards CT spawn, keeping the P90 alive, but I'm sure he'll upgrade by the end of the by the beginning of next round.
And unfortunately, 2 out of 4 of the remaining members of Renegades are going to be way too low to try and chase down that kill, so that explains why they don't really decide to chase him out of there and actually drop that gun. Yeah, Steel could have chased it, but there's that chance he could have won versus 2. That situation with a good position as well. It's just not economically worth it for Renegades to go for it, especially when you consider we're on round 5, and they've already got a very good economy built up on quite a few of the players. Yam's going to drop a lot of his money now as he goes for the upgrade to the op, but still, when you look at players like Azur along with JKS, they're sitting at 7,900 and 6,300, which is very good for the T side to already build up that much. Enemy, in the meantime, did 4 players going down. They're going to completely buy out. Kusta does have the op in his hands, and this is extremely crucial, especially for this team on the CT side, but now he's got to make progression with it, and Yam already starting things off for the Renegades, shutting down Uber.
Yeah, and I mentioned it. That's the kind of play that Yam likes to make. When he has the spawn, he wants to get aggressive towards choke points with that AWP. Finds an early pick, so now playing 4 on 5, and the tough part now is Renegades, one of the ways in which they're much improved lately is their nade usage on their T sides. When they're taking bomb sites, they're very, very good at utilizing all their smokes and their Molotovs to clear out positions and isolate players. They still have 4 Molotovs on the board, so no matter where they decide to go, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to apply pressure to the defense.
Renegades taking it nice and slow for the time being, though, and Yam was actually sitting back here, waiting to see if there'd be any extra aggression coming out from the CTs inside of that T-connector, but it doesn't happen, and now they peek out again, going for that strategy, moving outside of mainly T-connector and ladder room. Good smoke coverage, too. Lucky, the newer player for Enemy, is going to try to abuse this as he presses forward, sitting just outside of that smoke. We can catch into his blind rush there up that mid-little highway, but still not going to be able to find any of it. Relics picks up the first kill and it's the force plant, but there's Kusta now. Enemy shutting this down. Ustilo trying to strike back, but again, Kusta finding an op shot. Now Yam sitting back here just outside of T-connector. He's got to be worried here as in a second. Lucky, if he gets aggressive enough, he could find it. That's a good flash, but unfortunately, it's going to blind Lucky too. Still not being able to pick up the kill on a Yam just as of yet. Kusta finding Azur, but now it's just Yam alive in a 1 versus 2. And all he has to do is waste time. There's so much time to waste it. Yam picking up 1 shot, but he goes down to mainline, and there should be enough time to defuse this bomb now as mainline clutches things out for Enemy.
Yeah, fortunate, but a lot of damage dealt. Their economy is still so shaky. They're going to have to rebuy. Because they kept the P90, though, they'll have an extra rifle on board. And they do salvage the op, obviously. Mainline picking up that kit just as he gets over towards the bomb train to really ensure that he's going to have that defuse. But, looking at their money, they're going to have a couple players with light utility. Famas is even out on the board, so the advantage is still in the way of Renegades. And a reset here would just be so heartbreaking for Enemy to deal with in this matchup.
Taking a look at where Renegades are going to press themselves this time. It looks like they're setting up to toss some smokes again over towards the outside yard, but they're also moving a couple players to try and distract things in or two. It's mainly Ustilo that pushes in, but Kusta, now the aggression comes out to play with him as he pushes upper and finds an initial kill onto him. Hasn't spawned anything else as yet, but there is still a couple players, namely Azur. It looks like he's getting ready to jump into ladder room, though. This is probably just to set up the default for the remaining members of Renegades.
Really, really smart adjustment by Enemy. That last round, mainline calls out how aggressive Ustilo was, how he was taking box halls basically all on his own, so they bring Kusta over just to get that early pick. Now he's been brought right back outside, so given the advantage and relocate the op, this has the offensive Renegades reeling a little bit. They don't know where this AWP is going to be at.
Taking a look at the defensive positions of Enemy too, a lot of players keeping an eye on Ivy, and this is perfect. I think they've spotted the play coming in here. There's going to be 3 resisting it. And now you can see further back too, ladder room is where the other pressure point is going to come from here on the Renegades, assuming they still go for that inside yard, but it actually looks like they're going to try to sneakily move their players over here into the B side instead. Unfortunately, they still have mainline. He's slowly backing up, but he's seen the smoke, so he knows there's going to be something coming in. You have that very awkward play happening just outside of Ivy too. Relix tries to hold, but JKS goes for the jump, and upon landing, picks up the kill onto Relix, but then Lucky, firing blind shots through the smokes, manages to take down JKS. Meanwhile, on the inside yard, you still have mainline here. The 2 players from the terrorist side with the bomb have just entered, and they pick up the first kill on Akusta. Lucky trying to flank around, but mainline's taking a battle, down at 8 HP, managed to drop a player. Not just this, but Uber cleaning up the final 2. A play doesn't even happen. An Enemy shut things down in a very confusing round for the CTs.
Yeah, they managed that very, very nicely. It was an attempted split, it looked like, towards that B bomb site, with 2 coming from alley, wrapping around the backside of those trains, and 2 hitting the B site. But nice defense from Enemy. They stabilize, and this is the last buy now with Renegades, and it's a little bit suspect. There's 3 members very, very low in utility. All AKs across the board, but Yam only with the smoke. Azur has absolutely nothing. So without that plant, they're really, really hurting on the nades they can use, and this is the response. Azur's worked his way out mid very quickly, but again, it's Kusa with the opening pick. Finds Yam, this time without the AWP aggressive in that choke point. He gets punished.
And Yam was trying to actually counter out of that exact move there, but Kusta beats him to the punch with the op, picking up the shot. Now he's got a stable position over here by Ivy. Not going to be much use when you consider the positions from Renegades, but at the same time, Renegades are still trying to pull off a strategy, which they've already attempted quite a few times now. So Enemy, they're ready for this, and they're just shutting this down completely. Relix and Kusta, they've already picked up 2 more kills for the side of Enemy. It's just down to Azur and Ostilo now. Ostilo picking up 1 headshot there, but there's Kusta peeking the short lane, finds Azur, and Relix already in a battle with the last player alive. Ostilo, he's stuck behind this blue train. Now has to go over towards the alley, but he's not going to be able to find anything. Relix gets aggressive, shuts him down. Now Enemy take the lead at 4-3.
Yeah, this op is really, really working out for Enemy at the moment. Really dictating the pace of the action. A couple rounds ago, gets that opening pick at the inner bomb site. This time, it's just destroying everyone outside. No response quite yet from Renegades after winning those 3 consecutive. And now that they've been buying through the losing bonus, as it builds up, you can see they make the decision. This is a buyout. They have Tech 9s, they have a Deagle, and this is going to be very, very fast-paced round, it looks like, towards the inner bomb site.
This actually makes sense, because if they can pick up a victory here, you take a look at Enemy's economy, and they actually have not stabilized yet on the CT side. They're still pretty low when you consider the fact that they've now won 3 rounds in a row, so they can very easily break them and retake control of the situation. But it's all reliant about picking this one up, and that's a great name. Look at all the damage it's done. Now Relix is just going to completely close this down. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Looking for the 4th. He finds the headshot, and switching over to the USP. Not going to be Relix, but Mainline closes things out. Renegades get absolutely nowhere with that force.
Jesus. Relix, just get wrecked. He's closing down that B bomb site. Very nice shooting from him on top of that bomb train. There was nothing they could do to clear him out. That nade does some great initial damage, but he wasn't blind. He wasn't pressured whatsoever. He just got those kills so quickly that they didn't have time to swarm him. So great defense, 5-3 now. And now it's got to be a full save for Renegades.
And there won't be much on the table, as you said. A full save from Renegades means a couple Deagle upgrades. In fact, just 1 sitting on Sponge, P250s, and just a Glock for Yam. A Tech 9 will also be present on JKS as he leads the charge for his team. Moving over here through Ivy, they actually don't really have anyone watching this. Lucky's sort of paying attention to it along with Ivy, but Kusa on the wrap catches it. Just along the edge of the tunnel there, takes him down, sitting behind these players. There's Lucky. Kusa actually finds the kill. Lucky's not going to be able to be lucky enough to pick up a kill. Azur sneaks through with at least 1 frag pickup here as he takes down Uber, but starts to miss his shots in the second attempt. He'll be taken down by Relix. And Kusta closing things out with a nice little spray on his CZ.
I like this defense from Enemy. This is the 3rd different spot we've seen Kusta open rounds up. That time it's over towards Ivy. We've seen him at inner, and we've just seen him outside in the train yard behind bomb train. So being very mobile. Now, even if Yam wants to pick up the AWP, there's no guarantee that he has any indication where Kusta is going to be this round. He has no clue because we've seen so many different setups from the defense. And is Yam going to take this very quickly into the choke point? No, they're going to play it passively. He's going to watch for an Ivy push, and it looks like they want to set up for some smoke. Spread out into a default with the bomb above ladder at the moment.
Taking a look at Ivy, though, they've got aggressive here again. And actually, if they don't... Ooh, if Kusta could have stuck around, he might have been able to catch some of those players jumping down from the dumpster. But it looks like the path they took actually would have still brought them out of Kusta's line of sight. So now they move in. They don't have a smoke covering the short alley, so as they go towards it, there's 2 kills being picked up back-to-back from Enemy. Someone tries to get up close and personal with Kusta, but it's going to be Ostilo that gets shut down by Kusta this time. And the defense holds strong on the outside bomb site. Down to a 2 versus 4. Renegades JKS is forging a little bit of a path here as he moves forward. Finds relics. You still have Kusta sitting over there in that little cubby to the left, though. And now trying to hold back the remaining players. Renegades taking this very, very slow right now, as they hope to pick up at least one more frag. But slowly but surely, Enemy are boxing these players in to look for the last couple of kills. Kusta specifically, you can see he's pushing up, but he's going to hold here in this corner. He actually just heard something. So now he's got to watch out as he's the player that's currently being hunted. It's JKS that finds him. That's exactly what Renegades needed. But now they got to get on this bomb site where Lucky is sitting close by. Going to try to jump up on top. Not sure if they've heard him as of yet. Looking for the headshot on Azar, and he's going to be able to find it. And now just JKS, but Lucky remains overexposed for far too long. And now it's down to a 1 versus 1 here. JKS looking for the ace. Is he going to be able to find it? As Mainline has to decide on the perfect timing. He's got plenty of nades. Only one flashbang, though. And JKS, look at him. He's looking all over the place here. 20 seconds. Needs to go for the plant. Mainline very, very hesitant on when he should actually peek out towards this, but he does it at the perfect time. Lines up the headshot onto JKS and prevents disaster there as the ace almost comes in. And Mainline even having the casual amount of time to go pick up the op.
I almost feel bad because actually Renegades played that 2-on-3 really, really well. Azar and JKS. Azar was basically just bait for JKS, occupying the attention of Kusta while JKS went on a massive flank from the bomb trade. Azar knew exactly that Kusta had seen him multiple times, and he was just jumping back and forth, kind of taunting Kusta, like saying, like, take the shot, take the shot. All the meanwhile, JKS comes around, gets that flank kill, and gives him a shot at winning that 2-on-3. But either way, a nice one-on-one clutch from Mainline, playing it very patiently, and this is great management of the train alleys out of the defense. Enemy doing it very well. Now that they have all this money built up, they have all the nades, Molotovs, so when those executes come out on the outer bomb site, there's fire in all these lanes, and no one from Renegades can push up. They take too much damage. That combined with the op, they're just making no progress.
So now we see what we can only assume to be the tactical pause coming in from Renegades at this point. Happening a little bit late in the half, but in all honesty, at a pretty good point now. 4-round lead picked up from Enemy. Finally starting to establish themselves from an economy basis, too, when you look at a couple of the players here on Enemy. But Renegades, they've got a full buy coming into this one, full utility. Everybody's with AKs. They've even got the op being worked here again on Yam. So this is actually probably one of the more optimal times they could have chosen to go for one.
Yeah, they've got to figure something out. And I believe it was when we talked to Sponge, when Anders and I talked to Sponge in Taipei, he mentioned they have a rule. If they lose 6 straight rounds, it's an automatic call for a timeout, no matter when it happens in the match. If they lose that, if it's like 6-0 or 7-1 or some rule like that, it's an automatic pause call. And it's not even always to talk about anything strategic. It's sometimes just to be like, all right, guys, everyone calm down. We've been getting beat up, but refocus yourselves and let's figure out a way to get back in this. So we'll see what happens here in this round.
The other problem that I've seen most notably for Renegades is, again, and a lot of teams have this problem on Train, is that we're not seeing that many different strategies being employed. It's usually the same thing, usually the same 2 to 3 teams, or 2 to 3 strats, I should say, being employed a couple different ways. And this is going to be exactly this again. Look, they've got 3 coming outside of T connector and 2 coming down the ladder, and the smokes and the mollies start to roll in for the Ts, but the CTs have their own response to it here, and it's just a bit of a standoff at the beginning of the round. The good jump there. Yam's going to be able to pick off relics. Uber responding to it, as is Kust and Lucky. There's that position we saw a couple of rounds ago, holding just up close to the smoke. He's able to pick up a kill. One more is traded back from Azar, but that's about it, as Enemy again absolutely stalwart on the outside yard. Nobody's getting past them there.
Yeah, they're playing it very well when these executions come in. They're not trying to overextend and make too many big plays. They're just trusting that when those smokes clears, they're going to be in positions. They're making sure that no one from Renegades can push up and find some kind of an angle to clear out multiple members of the defense. So very solid work, and Renegades just aren't finding the kills that they need to get into post-plant situation. 3-8 now, and basically it's just been an eco win and two anti-eco wins out of Renegades. So this is going to start being really, really tough. They have the full losing bonus. And there's Lucky getting the opening kill onto Sponge, and many more pushing down alley. Lucky's going to peek again. He does get dropped, but so much damage is dealt. Kusta's right here with the AWP, but he's got to be a little bit careful trying to come through this smoke. But he's calling it out. He has all the information. Mainline's rotated over towards CT spawns there, sprays one down, gets traded off, but still whittles down the HP of this team, and now it's Uber. He's got to be careful. There is one down towards the lower ramp. That's Azar. He's smoked out, and he doesn't really have the health to get into too many battles, but Uber's going to have all the intel. And even in a 2-on-3, you got to think Enemy has an advantage, but good timing from Azar and Yam. They sandwich Uber. He picks the wrong time to go through, and now Kusta 1-on-3. And he's got a lot to clear out. Not able to do it. Yam's going to win that one with so low HP. Renegades finally get back onto the board with their 4th.
Yam's going to be able to scavenge the op for free too, so guns are going to be traded around here a little bit, but again, that big weapon comes back into the picture for the terrorists. As we were talking about before during the pause though, Enemy had finally managed to bring up a semi-decent economy, so they're actually going to be able to buy through this once again. But still, it's very, very low when you consider just how many rounds they managed to pick up in a row here. They're still only sitting at about an average amount on each player, maybe like high 1K, low 2Ks there, so it's going to be rough if this continues now, and Renegades actually managed to get themselves going on a streak, and they themselves, it looks like they're going to be trying something a little bit different now. Most of their players moved over here just outside of the B-bomb site, getting ready to push in towards there at the very least, throw the smokes, and then actually work their way down towards ladder room. So that's what they're investigating now. The flash comes in, and Sponge is going to take a dive to see what he can find on the outside yard.
Yeah, now they know where Kusta is. They know he's pushed up towards Ivy, so he's got to fall back and relocate. A lot of Renegades players poised to put some pressure at the inner bomb site. There's 3 people here, and there's Yam. Finds Uber. Nice shot from him. That gives a good advantage over to the terrorist side, and now it's up to Enemy to figure out what's going on. And they do keep 2 members of this inner bomb site, so they've got a good read so far.
Now, mainline, again, he's that player that plays up close and personal on the inside site. Waiting there with the molly, but he holds back, and it's a good thing too. So Renegades have been doing this for quite a few rounds now, where they sort of bait out the smokes, but they don't actually go in for quite a few seconds after that. Now this one comes in a little bit later, and it actually seems like it was perfectly timed, because the Renegades players were starting to group up as if they were going to push down a ramp. That molly's now halted that, and again, they're wasting a couple more seconds as mainline positions himself a little bit off there on the bomb side itself. These flashes are perfect. Ustilo, Azur, and Sponge all blind. Mainline spots them now coming down the actual ramp. He's got to be careful of the upper pushes. Azur finds an opener, but mainline able to find the trade against that. Shuts down Azur, trying to push through the smoke, but he holds back, and again, this is perfect as JKS is watching out. That does not stop him, however, from firing into the smoke and taking him down. And with all of that happening, it's just going to be one player left alive from Enemy. It's Kusta, and he's going to have to go for the save.
Yeah, nothing he can do here. Nicely done from Yam, getting that opening kill and then coming back towards the inner bomb site and just holding off the rotate. Holding that connector, making sure that there could be no easy backup for the enemy players trying to come to the inner bomb site. So off the back of that opening kill with the man advantage, Renegades outlast Enemy in this round. Kusta does get one, but he's trapped now. He's up above, they know exactly where he is, and I highly doubt Renegades lets him keep that AWP. It's going to be Yam to shut him down. And it looked so grim for a while. 7th straight for Enemy, but with one win, they get back on the board in a second one, and now they've depleted the economy so much. No AWP is going to be on the board for Enemy, and that's been a staple of this defense. So with 4 FAMASes, it's going to be very, very difficult for Enemy to get back on the board. This could be a nice ending to the half here for Renegades as they catch back up.
And for the Renegades, is moving everybody through the white halls right now. Probably looking like a pretty straightforward push going into the inside bomb site, but it's not a straightforward defense at all from Enemy. They hold their players back, but it's traded from Renegades. They pick up 3 kills to respond to Enemy's own 2 pickups, and now they've only got Uber and Lucky alive. They know they're on the inner site, so they've got to rotate in, but their smoke actually stops them partially. However, there's Yam again, lining up shots with the op. He picks up Uber, just down to Lucky in a 1 versus 2. He's got JKS very low at 13, but he's way in the back there. Lucky spotting that flash comes out, and Yam's gonna miss the up close shot. Not gonna connect on the Lucky. He's still alive, 48 HP. JKS alive in the back, but he doesn't have a molly to hold this off.
Yeah, there is a smoke on Lucky, but he has no kit. He's almost got to stick this at this point, and he is. He's just going to be on it 6 seconds. No peek yet. And actually, I'm not sure if JKS is going to do this in time, but he does find it through the smoke. There were 2 seconds left on the defuse, so he had a little bit of time to play with, but had there been a kit, that would have been a defuse. Either way, Renegades is going to win it out. And now look at the buy that Enemy's going to have on the board. Scout immediately comes out onto Uber. Mainline with the 5-7. FAMASes come out. But really, there's not too much to work with in terms of firepower here for Enemy. So Renegades get themselves back into this matchup.
Kusta buying the Nova now. So we'll see where he plays this. I imagine he's going to push towards E-Box or something and just try to play for that up-close and personal fight when these guys try to push in, and that looks like it's exactly where he's going. But what he hasn't realized is that Yam is already pushed out, and there's the first kill from him. Kusta trying to respond with some shots of his own, but unfortunately he has been found out a little bit early there by the players coming outside the ladder room. Mainline pops out. That's actually a perfect flash. Look at that. He picks up 1 headshot, almost finishing off a second. Now Uber with the jump scouting does some good damage to a 3rd member of Renegades. They're all so low, but they pick up 2 kills regardless. It's just on mainline. However, 1 shot each. There's 1, picking up Ustilo, trying to find the 2nd, but he can't whip it in time. Sponge takes him down, and the half ends 8-7, still in the favor of Enemy, but a good comeback from Renegades considering where we were at one point.
Yeah, really good comeback. That was about 4 straight for him to close that half out. So it didn't happen immediately after the pause, but they did eventually find what they wanted. And that's actually a pretty nice Terrace have to get 7 rounds there. It was the battle of the Operas, really. You got to think. I mean, Kusa dominated most of that half in the middle stretch with enemy 7 straight, and then Yam really came alive later on in the half in that 4-round run. He was getting all the opening picks. He was getting some 3 kills there. Just very, very nice op work so far on DE Train from both of these teams, but a good recovery from Renegades.
Some good plays coming out there from, I think one player that shined out for me too was Lucky. Even though he's pretty low on the frag board, he picked up some pretty crucial kills there, especially over towards the inside yard, which allowed Enemy to pick up quite a few rounds in a row. So we'll see now how this transitions over to the terrorist side as the second half is going to get started. And it looks like to start things off, most of the players are going to be heading over here towards the ladder room. We'll see where they go from there, as it could be setting up an attempt at a default here. 1 going over towards Ivy, 3 getting ready to maybe go down towards ladder room. And then they've got also 1 more inside of T connector here too. But Renegade's pretty investigative. You can see JKS is pushed up pretty far over here to the back of B, and he's going to be watching out for that exact kind of push.
Yeah, Flash has come out with T-Choke to help Relics get out of Ivy. Smoked off to the right. He can go towards CT spawn, towards back alley, but the CTs have all fallen back. They spot that out. They sniff it out a mile away. It's got to be very careful for Enemy, because this defense is poised to rotate so quickly to the inner bomb site, especially when JKS, he's going to spot this out early, and he's waiting. He's biding his time. Enemy doesn't know he's here. He can stop this plant. And Enemy, this is a tough spot to be in. There's JKS, kills the planter. He does get traded off immediately, but it's a 3-on-4 situation. It's looking good for Renegades as Yam climbs in for 1 more. Oh my lord, it just gets cleaned up so quickly there at the end.
The accuracy for Renegades indeed is on point, and that allows them to now tie the game up at 8 rounds here for Enemy. We'll see if they go for the course of the Force, as they did not manage to get the plan in the previous round, so it might be in their path here if they decide to go for it, but actually doesn't look like it. They're just going to take this round light. 5 Glocks, 2 smokes, and a flashbang sitting on mainline, along with a last-second P250 buy-up on Relics and Uber. And again, pretty much the same path being taken here by most of Enemy's players. Just moving over here towards the ladder room area, probably going to proceed over towards the inner yard from that point. However, Renegades expect exactly this, as they have 2 players sitting nice up close here on the ramp.
Yeah, this could be a slaughter. It's going to be a little bit scary here, as they're about to walk right into 2 SMGs. There's the first kill, and the second, and the third. JKS, nicely done. The UMP going to work, pulls out the pistol. Going for a 4th, but he's not going to find it. It's going to be Yam to bail him out. JKS does eventually get taken out, but a really nice defense from those 2. They hold strong. No progress made by Enemy, and JKS with 3 UMP kills makes a lot of money.
In hindsight, actually doesn't end up being too bad of a thing from Enemy, considering that they barely invest. They don't go for the Tech 9 Force there. Had they tried to go for the same sort of plan, that would have been absolutely horrific. Now it's the same course of action here on their last save. Just a couple P250s that they've got a little bit more money to work with now. A couple more smokes, so maybe they'll try to set up something a bit more advanced, but they're definitely trying to save money for that first gun round.
At this point, I think they're looking for a plant to try and have that AWP out in the next round. They might be able to force buy. It would be glass cannon though. It's just going to be a straight rush. So these smokes don't even get used. That's very confusing. Why they even bought them if they're just going to run down lower ramp without any cover. So no one from Renegades falls into this round. A couple more kills on a UMP. That money bonus is going to be helping Yam out as well. He might upgrade to an AWP, but he could also keep that gun if he wanted to just try and be a little bit cocky about it. And there it is. Kusa is going to have the AWP. No armor, just a smoke on top of it.
Imagine those smokes were maybe for the post plant, so they could try and play some more sneaky angles and try to pick off the members of Renegades in hopes of winning the round. But obviously, as you said, they're, again, as we saw in the second round, they're just shut down completely in their attempt to rush down ramp. So no real progress being made there by Enemy at all on their T side. And that does not bode well now when they pick up the guns. They do have the op in the hands of Kusta, as you were saying previously. It's the glass cannon buy up from him, but he's actually going to wait to see if Sponge gets aggressive enough to peek towards this angle. He's on the right side right now, so it won't be likely, but if he could pick up that shot, that'll be an amazing start for this team, as no one else has given any indication they're down Ivy yet. And just as I say that, they peek.
Yeah, Sponge though, those are some wide peaks, and now he's playing with fire by just kind of walking behind the smoke. Any kind of spam through, he could catch a lucky bullet. But he is going to get close up and wait for him to run right through it. This is going to be a pinch towards the outer bomb site. Azur's playing close up towards ladder room.
Yeah, I'm sitting back here to support him as well. The nade's going to pile in there. That actually might do a little bit of damage to his teammate, and it does. But thankfully, way more damage is done. The trades and the kills coming out like wildfire there, as each team loses 2 of their players. Kusta and Mainline both going down from Enemy, but also Sponge and Yam. Everybody that was in that alleyway there is now a dead player, essentially. And the only people that are still alive are Stilo and Lucky, who are sitting a little bit further back.
Yeah, I think Lucky's going to be the one to try and make a play here. Azur's still just nonchalantly sitting inside ladder room. Good position to get some information if he hears footsteps. And also, Enemy's got to be careful as Lucky has fallen towards Ivy, so it's just these two players. There's no map control. Really, all they have left is to go towards this center bomb site. They have basically every nade they could want to use to go for it. But Azur's getting antsy. It looks like he wants to start making this play up the ladder for a quick flank. 20 seconds left on the clock. The question is, there's the flashbang down the lower ramp. JKS drops a Molotov at the default plant spot just to delay things, and it works perfectly. Nice defense from him, and Relics, he gets that kill, but he still can't go for the bomb. He's got to smoke it off, and his only chance now is to get this plant. But he is getting encroached upon from both sides.
He's going to be surrounded now, as you can see. Azur just over to his left outside of the smoke as he tries to peek out of it. He's right up in his face, and Relic's aiming way too high to even attempt to take that 1v1 there. He's going to shut him down. And again, we'll see the CTs continue to dominate here on the second half as Renegades will pick up their 11th round. Enemy, we've yet to see a single round pickup so far in this first half.
Yeah, starting to get scary. That plant's going to help out as well. The 4 rounds of losing it with the bonus is going to start building up. But the money, especially from those SMGs in the first couple rounds, is going to be bailing out the economy of Renegades. I mean, there was only, I believe it was only one player died in the first, in those 2 anti-ecos. So they haven't had to force too many rebuys in terms of their armor and everything. So still even, I mean, losing 3 players that round, they still have plenty of money to work with going forward. And Enemy now, they're starting to feel the pressure a little bit as they haven't even really had any kind of success. 5 AKs on the board, very light on utility, only 3 smokes to work with.
Something to notice there, actually we'll talk about this in a second too. Kusta picking up that first kill, just a wild peek outside of T-Connector, shuts down Azur as he tries to get into the counter position for this one, but Kusta tests his luck a second time. That doesn't work out as Ustilo shuts him down.
Yeah, that's kind of a, I don't like that play. You get that opening kill, just take the advantage. You have a minute and a half left on the clock, just fall away. Don't hop on top of that train and try and go for some kind of Rambo. Look at where his teammates are on the minimap. 2 players outside of Ivy, 2 players towards inner, no one there to back him up or trade any kind of a kill, so he gives back the advantage that he gained for his team.
He shouldn't know that the bomb is down yet. It was placed in a safe position, so Renegades aren't going to know that that's the factor in play as of yet, but Enemy's still splitting their players up pretty heavily. I imagine with the current 2 players sitting just outside of the B bomb site, they're going to pick up that bomb and move it over towards the inner yard. And mainline is going to act as a last-minute rotation, coming in through the A bomb site, going through Z, and then trying to support these players. But the big problem for Enemy is going to be getting into that bomb site to begin with. They've already used a lot of their utility. They are still going to have 2 smokes to try and make an entry here, but if that fails, and we still have Renegades as players in fairly aggressive positions, so more than likely it will, we're probably just going to see the CT shut this round down again. And there's the molly, goes down over on ramp. Uber finds an opener, and actually JKS, he's going to miss his first initial shot, tries to go up the ladder, chase him, but again, Uber winning that duel, shutting out JKS. Now you've got that play coming back in, and they actually go for the plant on the outside yard instead, so this works out perfectly through Uber alone. He does finally get shut down by Yam, but now the bottom 2 players from Renegades, they're boxed out of this site.
Yeah, what a manly play from Uber. He's given him an opportunity to win this round, and they are going to win it. Renegades is going to choose to just save these 2 weapons. Because now this is going to start to get costly. Losing 3 players in 2 consecutive rounds. Saving these guns, they're going to be able to drop 2 over if they need to. So, good choice to really save the economy with that AWP as well. So, Enemy's going to get one off the back of Uber's hard work, but you can't rely on those kind of entries from him every single round. Enemy at some point is going to have to win a tactic outright and look at Relics, making sure they can only save 1 weapon.
And this is actually something I wanted to note a few moments ago too. Renegades actually, for the CT side, they've actually been playing much more economically focused here too. I think it wasn't this round, but the round before, where we saw that defuse coming out of the bomb a couple seconds late. Everybody in the chat was spamming BM, but it was actually to delay, so his teammate could go back over towards Ivy and retrieve the bomb, as they had that crazy trade happen there. So they wanted to make sure they got the op back. They didn't have to rebuy that one, and that's why the bomb defuse was actually delayed there. And now they're still able to go for another rebuy. Enemy in this situation were in a much worse off position previously when they were faced up against similar odds with a similar economy. So Renegades is doing a much better job of keeping their money up high, and this of course is going to lead to much better buys for the CT side.
Very, very aggressive in the outside train yard, but 4 members of Enemy are stuck behind the same train. That first train, no one's progressed forward. No one from Renegades has showed themselves, so this is very, very hard at the moment for Enemy to break into. The first kill is going to come in the way of Kusa. Nice headshot onto Azur. On top of the trains, he finds the angle, and then Lucky, the nade kill onto Usil actually saves Mainline's life. So good progress, and now they've taken things over. It was a slow-paced round, but they found everything. Yam with a nice shot onto Relics trying to jump across. And actually, that means the bomb can't make it either.
And now Yam trying to force his way outside of this smoke. There's actually a lot of smoke coverage. They don't see him. So there's a free shot into Uber. There's a free shot on the main line. Looking for the third over there by Ladder him on a blind shot. Not going to find it, but now there's a pickup on Kusta. Now it's just Lucky. Yam is the ace. Are we going to see the ace from him, or will JKS steal it? JKS, he's respecting it. He's sitting back. He's going to give him that chance to pull it off. Not only this, but that bomb is down on the ground too, in a place where Lucky can't really retrieve it. He's got to try and save this. He spotted JKS sitting way back there, but has he seen Yam? No! Yam's gonna miss that shot. He falls back. What is happening now is everybody's missing their shots. Yam's had enough of this, though. He's traded it out for the M4. And Lucky, he's got the bomb, but he's not going for the plant. He wants to take this 1 versus 2. He probably still thinks one of these players is far enough back, but Yam comes out. There's the ace from him. And Renegades swing by with another round.
What an unreal round from Yam. That was so disgusting. And that's now we're starting to, that's the potential of Yam that we haven't seen for quite some time. That's what Renegades saw in him so long ago, but saves that round and actually, I mean, just puts him in the driver's seat for this match. That resets the economy of Enemy, and that was a round they absolutely had to have. I mean, they were up 5 on, what was it, 5 on 2, 4 on 2 at certain points, so now they're just back down to square one. And Yam's going to continue things, just clotheslining Kusta. And Renegades moving forward into this match with supreme confidence at the moment.
Nothing happening at all from Enemy in this round. It's just Uber left alive now at 12 HP after he got absolutely unloaded on, and so did the rest of his team. Everybody else is dead. The only kill they've managed to pick up was from Uber, finding one, I believe, over Nazar, and then Mainline managed to take down JKS, but that's been about it. Now Uber's going to try to turn this one around. Still not expecting Uber to be in that position. Unfortunately, though, he hasn't really managed to pick up much from this kill in terms of a positional advantage, really anything, as the bomb is still sitting down on the ground on the outside yard. And everybody from Renegades just has an absolute lockdown on that. So basically, wherever he tries to come in from here, he's more than likely going to end up being a dead man, unless he's directly on point with a one-tap on his AK.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult for Uber to even find anything. And there he is. He's already been spotted. So with this low HP, Sponge should be able to find an easy kill. Just one bullet. Now he spots him out. He's going to grab it long range. 13-9 now for Renegades. Only one terrorist round for Enemy on train so far. This is not looking good for them. Without that plant, they might be in a situation where they have to buy this round. But they don't really have too much to work with. Relics is going to be stuck on the Tech 9. Galil for Lucky, but I mean, Kusta does have an AWP, so perhaps that's all they need.
We haven't even brought this up as of yet. There's a lot of we talked a lot, I think, in the previous season about Enemy being a pretty top-heavy team with Kusta, but look at Renegades right now. Yam leading at 33 kills, JKS down at 21, and there's a huge drop-off after that, down to Sponge at 10, and Estilo and Azar down at 8 kills each.
There's only so many kills to go around, you know? And when Yam's playing like he is right now, I mean, someone's going to suffer. Nice shot from Kusta, though. Yam, he gets outplayed patiently by Kusta. He comes up alley and finds the quickscope. It's going to get smoked off. 1:20 left on the clock for Enemy to work with a man advantage. They're completely spread across the map right now, so decent control. But Kusta and Lucky still playing behind this smoke towards Ivy. And actually, look at how aggressive Renegades is being towards the choke points. Azar in ladder room, Sponge towards E-Box, Usilo right behind this first train. All of Renegades playing very forward in this outer train yard.
And for Enemy, it's all very, very patient sort of play. They're sitting back. They've got 2 players positioned just outside of Ivy. They're finding an initial kill. They're hoping someone wants to rotate over there to try and find revenge, but they're not going to be able to pick it up from there. The rest of the team, though, they've made very little progress on getting map control at all. One player just circling around up on top of the ladder room there, trying to see exactly who that is. It looks like it's going to be Uber, but he's actually not going down into it. They're trying to throw the fake over towards the inside yard. Now for JKS, not falling for that one at all. Him and Azar picking up 2 kills to start things off. Uber's also fallen. He was the player that was sitting on top of ladder room, so they're not going to make any progress at all. It's all going to be an attempt to come in through T-Connector and Ivy. And although the Ivy push goes pretty okay, for the rest of the team, they've just absolutely failed at trying to find their entry marks. And, Kusta almost burned alive there accidentally, but he survives it with 3 HP. Unfortunately, though, he's surrounded now. And with 8 seconds left, his biggest thing to try and do here is die, and that will happen at the hands of Ustilo.
Yeah, this is one of the areas in which Enemy, being a relatively inexperienced team, is going to have to improve upon. They have 1:20 with a man advantage, and they say completely spread out across the map. With that man advantage, just group up, play the trades. I mean, the bomb was all alone towards mid. No one could even salvage it. You know, the inner player went out all by himself. He got killed. No one was there to trade that kill. If you have a man advantage and you just play the trade game, you're always going to come out on top because you're still going to remain that man ahead overall. And that time, Renegades is able to just pick them apart. So even though Enemy got that opening kill, they don't capitalize on it. So now they're forced into a real sketchy buy. 5 Tech 9s. Azar gets the opening kill onto Uber, being aggressive towards ladder room. And there's Yam with the AWP chiming it again. So whittled down once more. And this hit has just been so incredibly weakened.
Yam's gonna fall back to sit on top of Tanker, just watching for the opposite area to push in now. They'll try to catch main line, but again, from Enemy, it's this hesitation that kills them. They sit back, they waste so much time on this T side. In the meantime, Renegades, they just literally sit at the areas of entry and wait exactly for members of Enemy to push in. Technically speaking, if Enemy position their flashes correctly, they can completely counter out what Renegades is doing right now, but we're just not seeing that at all. Everybody from Enemy is going to attempt to push down the ramp, but JKS is sitting here. He only manages to pick up one frag, but now you've got Yam sitting in the back around the tanker, and he's going to get one and finishing it off with the double, shuts down Kusta, along with the other final member there of Enemy.
This has kind of been a theme of this half so far for Enemy, is on their, when they have these pistols, even if they're upgrading pistols with armor and nades, they're not finding any success. One player, I mean, they've killed what, a total of 2 players across 3 eco rounds? I mean, that's just not good enough. This money for Renegades has never really been an issue. They've had some low buys, or some buys where the economy is low, but they've never been forced onto a save. Now Molotov's right into this outer train yard, but it's still a huge advantage for Renegades. Azur chimes in on Akusta, 3 on 5 now for Enemy.
That was a great flash from Lucky, and now he's going to move in, doing so much damage right now. Him and Relics cleaning up shop onto the members of Renegades. They all fall as they were looking so good to hold that out. Now it's just JKS. He drops the bomb planter, but that doesn't matter as mainline's ready. He picks up the trade, and Enemy immediately bring that back under their control after a very brutal start to the round.
I have no idea how that just happened. I have no clue how that turned around so perfectly. Nicely done from Enemy with their backs against the wall. And look at Renegades. You talked about how they were playing a very smart game in terms of their economy. Well, they're going to continue it here. They know they have 5 rounds to play with. They have some money. They could have force spot. They could have had a rifle onto Yam, a rifle onto Azur. But instead, they're just going to go for some pistols. They're going to see what kind of damage they can do. And they're just going to move forward into the next couple rounds with a more confident buy.
So now they sit back here, and as you mentioned before, Renegades focusing on a very economical game, so you can more than likely expect Enemy to be able to pick up the round. They've already found a first kill here, that being Uber. He is being challenged a little bit, not allowed to Romario, so he's going to get scared and fall back on top, but this is a perfectly normal reaction. The remaining members of Renegades, though, are still playing very aggressive, despite the fact that they're now working with a fairly inferior arsenal. Take a look at Ustilo. He's in a very good position. If he actually goes to wrap around Ivy, he could spot a whole lot and potentially do a great amount of damage, but he's instead going to walk up the stairs. Might get crossfired here in a second. There's Uber, manages to catch him at the perfect time. And at this point forward, Enemy basically have their pick of the litter.
Yeah, that push forward, you could see Renegades gambling towards the inner bomb site. So that one push up towards team mid and to wrap around up the stairs was just in case they were going inside. That was just a full commit on the gamble from Renegades. You know, if Enemy is walking towards the inner bomb site, they have a massive advantage in terms of surprise and manpower that Enemy won't be prepared for. Either way, Enemy comes outside, free plant for them. Everyone's spread out across the map. Just got to be careful they don't lose too many weapons because the money on the T side is not strong whatsoever. They want to make sure they can have these buys to close things out. And Azur going to make things a little bit difficult with a nice deagle on the main line. But there's Kusa with the op, and Relic's going to close things out 15-11 now. And the question is, does Renegades buy into this round? I think they should. They have plenty of money. You don't want to save. I mean, it's smart to be playing it. Oh no, they're just going to do like a half buy. Yeah, they have a scout onto Yam, a scout onto Azur as well. So 2 deagles and a CZ. So one more round. They want to make sure they have everything they could need next time around, and even get lucky on this one.
So the 2 eagles and the scout probably means they're going to completely switch up the CT strat. They've been playing like hyper aggressive now, where they've been essentially been waiting at the angles where Enemy would probably try to entry from and try to catch them off guard, but. Now with these type of guns, with this kind of setup without armor sitting behind it, they've got to try and play back a little bit more. But actually, no, look at this Azur. Just runs on top of the orange train, finds the headshot on Akusta. Uber is going to catch a response to it, and Azur now has moved very quickly back over here. He's caught, though, down to 4 HP. It doesn't trade any damage back onto the remaining members of Enemy. So now Enemy is, again, probably just going to go for this very slow type of movement and wait to see any other aggression comes out from the Renegades, which they can abuse, and then just use to walk onto the site, get the plant, and just take the timer down from that point forward.
Azur just shamed Kusta with that scout shot. That was sick. That'll make you scratch your head. Either way, Enemy's got to readjust. They've got to come back and get the bomb. They got to be very wary of pushes, and you can see them probing towards the inner bomb site as well, where JKS is going to get aggressive. Yam has been spotted there, and it does look like actually there's not really anyone watching this. Uber's at the bottom of the ladder. He could get fast flanked. He's got to be very careful. He's all alone, but there's Relic, saves the day. JKS falls. So does Ustilo. But Azur with the scout still doing some damage, and there's Yam chiming in as well, down to a 1-on-2. Any damage he can do here is going to be useful, and even if he decides to save that AK-47, not a bad find for him.
So Enemy taking a lot of damage in this round, but nonetheless, they're still going to be able to pick up a victory here. As you're mentioning, though, Yam actually might try to go in and clutch this as he moves in now. He hasn't spotted mainline over there in the Ivy tunnel, and he's been spotted by Uber too. So the Molly comes in, they'll force Uber out, but he manages to fall down in time, so he's going to take a little bit of falling damage. Still in a safe position, though, as basically just waiting out Yam. They do not want to mess with him with the current frag total he's working with. He's been very consistent. Unfortunately, though, Uber is going to be able to find the headshot to shut him down very quickly. And now Enemy scores a 12th round, 3 more away from taking us into OT. Now Renegades have enough money. They'll definitely be going for the buy here.
Yeah, and what that also prevented Enemy from doing is, Yam even going for that, is it prevented Enemy from saving the AWP. So it forces a rebuy. That's a lot of money to spend. Kusa's down to $1,000. So Renegades, I mean, one way they could win is just grind this out now that Enemy had to spend more money here. But this is the thing. There was a double save out of Renegades, essentially. That last round was a little bit of a force buy, but Enemy knows there's going to be an op on the board in Yam's hands. And this is where the defense wants to get started, but it's not going to work. Azur's been so aggressive towards the ladder room. This time, Uber sniffs it out. He gets dinked down to 5 HP, but that kill is what he needs, although Yam evens things right up. Kusta falls.
So what's very unfortunate there is I think Lucky ends up kind of screwing Kusta over because Kusta was going to go for the peek, but right before he did, Lucky tried to jump over and bait it, but thankfully, Yam actually shoots a little bit late, and that ends up connecting the shot on the Kusta instead. So Lucky's attempt to fake the shot actually ends up causing the death of his own teammates. That doesn't work out very well. Not just this too, but Uber, although he's found the kill onto Azur, he's very, very low now. Down at 5 HP. This is not an optimal situation for Enemy to work. They have no control over Ivy. I highly doubt Lucky's going to want to be able to test this on his own. Most of the sort of aggressive movements he may have been with the support of his team sitting behind him. So this would not be wise to go for, and you still have some of that aggressive play coming out from Renegades now. Most notably here on the outside yard is going to be Ostilo sitting just over here by E-Box.
Yeah, there's no way for mainline to know that. Oh, actually, Yam has a really, really tricky angle, and he's going to find him right around the edge of that train. A little bit of a bummer. It looked like mainline had some space to work with. I didn't think Ustila knew he came out. And there's a free kill onto Uber, but Relix responds. 2-on-3 situation for the map, essentially. And look at this flight coming out. Ivy, Yam, always aware, turns just in time, gets that last one to bring his total up to 42. Renegades is going to take that one 16-12 off the back of Yam's stellar performance.
And again, Yam basically making the entire game for the Renegades work out there. We've already seen a huge frag total. That's basically it. Him, I think, who was sitting behind him was JKS, right? Sitting like 10 kills behind him, down at like 30 or something like that. So 2 huge performances coming out from Renegades that manages to bounce them back on the CT side.